The fluorescent lights of City Care General flickered as the night shift settled into its usual rhythm. Nurse Aisha, calm yet focused, moved quietly from room to room. Her gentle demeanor and precise hands made her one of the most trusted nurses in the hospital, even though she was relatively young. At just 28, she was already known for handling high-stress emergencies with steady grace. It was almost midnight when she entered room 305 to check on a 7-year-old boy recovering from a complex appendix surgery. His mother sat nearby, anxious but thankful. Aisha smiled warmly, adjusted the IV drip, double-checked the dosage chart, and wrote her notes in the medical log. Everything was routine until the door slammed open. Dr. Kamran strode in with a storm on his face. His eyes landed on the IV bag, and without even looking at Aisha, he snapped, "What dosage did you give this child?" Startled, Aisha quickly retrieved the chart. "The one recorded here, doctor. 250 million as prescribed." Kamran snatched the chart, scanned it, and threw it onto the bed. "This chart says 150 milligrams. You overdosed him." Aisha's heart sank. "Sir, I swear this is the chart I received. It clearly said 250 me." "I don't need excuses," Kamran shouted, his voice echoing through the hallway. Aisha's hands trembled slightly, but she stood her ground. "I followed the protocol. Please, let's double-check the charting system. It might be—" "You're fired," he interrupted, cold and final. Silence fell over the room. The boy's mother looked shocked. Nurses nearby froze, and no one dared to interfere. Kamran had a reputation for arrogance and cruelty, masked by his surgical brilliance. He often lashed out, and few ever challenged him. Aisha felt her throat tighten. Her hands, now limp at her sides, had helped hundreds of patients. She had worked extra shifts to support her ill mother's medication, and now one misunderstanding, without a chance to explain, had crushed everything. Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall in front of him. "I understand," she whispered. She quietly removed her name badge and left the room with her head held high. Behind her, murmurs rippled among the staff, but no one spoke up. Fear of Kamran's wrath kept them silent. As Aisha walked out into the night, the cold wind hit her face. She looked up at the hospital's towering windows and wondered if this was how it all ended. She had no plan, no backup, just the belief that she had done the right thing, and maybe, someday, the truth would speak louder than power. Unbeknownst to her, the very next morning would turn the entire hospital upside down. The sun rose slowly over City Care General Hospital, casting long, golden rays across the quiet corridors. Doctors began their rounds, nurses moved with sleepy urgency, and the events of the previous night still lingered in whispers. But no one expected the storm that was about to hit. At exactly 9 a.m., a sleek black car rolled up to the hospital entrance. Out stepped a tall man in a grey suit, flanked by 2 security personnel. He walked with authority, heading straight for the hospital director's office. His name was Mr. Shahir Ahmed, chairman of the hospital trust, and the man responsible for overseeing operations across all hospital branches. By 9:15 a.m., Dr. Kamran was summoned. He entered the director's office confident as always, but that confidence cracked slightly when he saw Mr. Shahir sitting behind the desk, holding a file and frowning. "Dr. Kamran," Mr. Shahir said firmly, "we received an anonymous report about an incident in room 305 last night." Kamran straightened. "Yes, the nurse, Aisha, dangerously misadministered medication. I took immediate action and dismissed her." Mr. Shahir held up the medication chart. "You mean this one?" Kamran nodded. "Well," Shahir continued, "our digital backup records show that the dosage originally recorded was, in fact, 250 milligrams, exactly what Nurse Aisha administered." Kamran blinked. "That's not possible. I saw—" "The records were tampered with," Shahir interrupted. "Someone manually edited the physical log after she made her notes. We traced the logbook's handling, and security footage clearly shows you making a late entry into the room, alone, after Nurse Aisha left." Silence, cold, thick silence. You accused an innocent nurse, publicly humiliated her, and fired her without investigation. That's not just unprofessional, it's abuse of authority, Mr. Shahir said, his voice rising. Effective immediately, you are suspended pending further inquiry. Gambran opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He walked out of the office, pale and shaken. Meanwhile, across town, Aisha sat in her small apartment, eyes red from a sleepless night. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from the hospital. Please report to the director's office at 10 a.m. Urgent. With a racing heart, she arrived as requested and was greeted warmly by Mr. Shahir. Miss Aisha, he began, on behalf of City Care General, I sincerely apologize. You were wrongly accused. The truth has come out. We'd like to reinstate you immediately, with a promotion to senior nurse and full benefits. We also want to assign you to our hospital ethics committee, if you're willing. Aisha's eyes widened. I don't know what to say. Just say yes, Mr. Shahir smiled. Tears formed again, but this time they were tears of relief and justice. She nodded slowly, overwhelmed. As she walked through the corridor later that day, patients, staff, even doctors, looked at her with newfound respect. She wasn't just a nurse anymore. She was a symbol of quiet courage, proof that doing the right thing could still win, even in a world full of powerful voices. And far above in the director's office, Mr. Shahir quietly deleted Kamran's name from the hospital roster. Justice had spoken. The news of Nurse Aisha's reinstatement and Dr. Kamran's suspension spread like wildfire through the hospital. For a place usually governed by routine, protocols and hushed voices, this was a storm of whispers and knowing looks. Nurses walked taller, younger staff felt emboldened, and for once truth had not been buried under power. Aisha, now promoted to senior nurse, took her new responsibilities seriously. She was given a modest but well-organized office just a few doors down from the main ward. Her new duties included overseeing patient care strategies, mentoring new nurses, and, most importantly, sitting on the hospital's ethics committee. It was a role many avoided, but she embraced it. Her first order of business was to implement a double-check policy on all medication logs, ensuring no single person could alter records without a second signature. It was a direct result of what had happened to her, and she knew it would prevent future abuse. But even with her promotion, not everything was easy. One afternoon, Aisha was reviewing files when a young trainee nurse knocked timidly. "Ma'am, there's a patient in room 308 asking for you." When she entered, she was shocked to see an elderly man with oxygen tubes lying weakly in bed. His eyes were warm, and his voice raspy. "You probably don't remember me," he said softly, "but you were the nurse who checked my file last week and gave me the right medication. My son said if you hadn't caught the error, I wouldn't be here." Aisha sat by his side, tears silently slipping down her cheeks. "I just did my job." "No," the man replied. "You stood up for what was right." That moment reminded her why she had chosen this path. It wasn't about titles or positions, it was about lives. Meanwhile, Dr. Kamran's inquiry revealed a history of intimidation and misconduct. His suspension turned permanent, and he quietly resigned before the board could take further action. No formal apology came from him, but Aisha didn't need it. She had already won. Weeks later, the hospital held an internal awards ceremony for medical staff who had demonstrated excellence and integrity. To her surprise, Aisha's name was called. For courage in the face of injustice, for professionalism in the line of pressure, and for improving institutional trust, the host announced. We present the Florence Nightingale Award to Senior Nurse Aisha Malik. She walked to the podium, every eye on her. She cleared her throat. "When I joined this hospital, I never imagined I'd be standing here. But I want every nurse, every junior staff member to remember this. You are more than your badge. Speak the truth. Stand by your duty, even when it's hard." The room erupted in applause. Outside, the hospital lights flickered to life as the sun set behind the city skyline. Justice had been served. Integrity had won, and in the heart of the hospital, a once silenced voice now echoed in strength. Aisha wasn't just a nurse anymore. She was a leader, a survivor, a name the hospital would never forget.